So this next portion of this rant video is gonna be setting aside the skill-based matchmaking and the engagement optimized shit and all that fucking shitty shit that I'm still mad about. Sorry, I gotta calm myself down a little bit here. I kind of just have a list of things that I want to talk about, just kind of, off the cuff, sort of structured, not really, just kind of letting my thoughts out. I want to start off, this does kind of tie into skill-based matchmaking a little bit, and I probably should have mentioned this in the first video, but one of the biggest problems with this new matchmaking system in Call of Duty is disbanding lobbies, and it really makes me sad, because I remember a time when Call of Duty games, like, you could just pretty much stay in the same lobby over and over and over again. Like, every match, it's the same people, and if you want to shit talk them, you could do that. You could make friends that way. It was just a lot more social, and I think it made Call of Duty, like, I feel like it made the community a little better in that sense. I mean, arguably it could be worse, but the disbanding lobby thing has kind of ruined the whole social aspect of Call of Duty. Search and Destroy, it's not really that different, honestly. I mean, lobbies still disband, but you still get shit talkers like it's no tomorrow. But it's just not the same as something like Black Ops 2, where, every lobby, it could be the same people until they left or something. But, you could just keep playing as long as you wanted to in the same lobby. And, you could forge friendships with some people that you would probably never have a chance of meeting in the real world anyway. But the way with this skill-based matchmaking system set up, obviously, that's never going to happen. I don't think they're ever going to get rid of it, unfortunately. Which is pretty depressing, because I would honestly, slightly forgive the whole system if they would just at least, keep us in the same lobbies. Because I just want to at least talk to people, get to know them a little bit. If I end up becoming friends with them or whatever, it'd be nice to stay in the same lobby with them for a while. But you can't really do that anymore. And, I know most people don't really care about that anyways, but I have to say, the whole disbanding lobbies thing just is a real bummer, and I'm pretty pissed about it. Another thing I'm pretty pissed about, even more so, is the fact that turning crossplay on in these new games, I think this started with 2019 if I'm not mistaken, it basically slows the matchmaking down even further than it already does. Now, the reason why it's so slow is because it tries to find lobbies of a high ping. Again, it's because of skill-based matchmaking. I'm sorry I keep bringing that up. I know I already made a whole separate video on it, but all of it kind of ties into it in a way. It's kind of like a fucking a bow from hell. Okay, it all kind of ties together. So the forced crossplay thing, I guess it technically doesn't force you to do crossplay, but it does encourage it. And if you don't turn it on, and some modes you just straight up can't turn it off, like on Ground War, for example, unless they fixed that recently, but I wouldn't know because I haven't been playing these new games that much. But typically it'll still let you turn it off. It's just that, like I said, the lobbies will be so much slower. It's just not even worth turning it off. And playing against PC players as a console player is incredibly frustrating. Especially when you hear these fucking dorks on PC. I'm not saying all of you are dorks, okay? But I'm just saying, if you complain about aim assist on controller,
you need to shut the fuck up!
Because you have all of this wiggle room available to you that you can use for, really good accuracy. You have so much more control with the mouse and keyboard. Whereas with a controller, we're basically stuck with these fucking shitty thumbsticks that we can't even keep up with you, because how can we? We don't have all that fucking wiggle room. We don't have a whole arm to use, to aim with. Next matter of business is the new prestige system. It fucking sucks, because you really, once you reach, level 55, I think that's still the level cap. Once you reach level 55 now, and you have everything unlocked, you have nothing to grind for anymore. You just basically have everything forever until you decide to quit the game, which is boring as fuck compared to the old prestige system, where every time you had to manually prestige, by the way, the new games just kind of automatically prestige for you, which is really gay. You used to be able to hit level 55 or level 65 or whatever the level cap was for that game. It's usually 55 though. You would have to essentially start over. You would have to unlock all the weapons again, unless you use your prestige token, which you could use to unlock either a weapon attachment or a perk or something like that, but you can't really do that anymore. And I think that the old prestige system needs to be brought back, because it added a lot of addiction to the game, and I know that's kind of what they want now, but just in a different way. But I think that it made the games more fun. I personally don't remember the last, I think the last COD I remember grinding hardcore was like Black Ops 4, and that was because it had the old prestige system, which was, I think I ended up getting like 10 prestige. I didn't get quite max. It added a lot of replayability to the game, and it made the game actually like, you know, replayable in a sense, because you could just keep leveling up, and you always had something to work for. But nowadays, it's just kind of like you hit the level cap, and now you just have everything, and there's nothing to unlock anymore. Unless you buy the battle pass. My next point is, I don't know if this is a subjective one or not. I'm going to leave that up to you. But I think that the new COD developers, even Treyarch, who I consider to be still the best developer, none of the developers know how to make good maps anymore. Or at least maps that stick out in a good way. There's certainly been some maps that have stuck out in the past few years, like Border Crossing, but certainly not in a good way. I really miss the old days of like, you know, I remember thinking every year, like, man, I wonder what map's gonna be popular this year. Is it gonna be, oh, we got Hard Hat, or you know, we got Mission, we got Hijacked, Standoff, we got fucking goddamn Nuketown or something like that. I mean, like, there's always so many iconic maps back in the day. But since Ghosts, there's just been, like, no good maps at all. I mean, there's been some decent ones here and there, but there's been, since Black Ops 2, there haven't been any maps that have really, like, stuck out. I really have to wonder why. Like, did all the map designers just decide to give up, or are they all completely different map designers? Because that would make a lot of sense. I really miss having, you know, memorable, quality maps, and it feels like we really don't get that anymore at all. And it's kind of a shame, because like I said, I miss having a map like, let's say Rust, for example, or, you know, a map like Terminal, like, that always sticks in your brain, and you're like, oh yeah, that map, I know everything about that map, because it has good flow, and it's designed well, or it just has, you know, super iconic imagery, like something like Afghan or Crash, for example. You fucking Call of Duty map designers need to step your shit up, because I'm getting tired of playing these either huge-ass complex maps that have like fucking 80 buildings in it to camp in, Infinity Ward, or I don't really mind the 3-lane maps anymore, because these Infinity Ward ones have been so god awful. I'd honestly rather take the small 3-lane maps, but they can still be kind of boring. I just want some good maps, okay? That's all I want. But I mean, I guess I'm not really playing new COD anymore anyway, so I don't really give a shit anymore. But I hope that they can at least at some point step their fucking map design game up. Or if they can't, which they won't, honestly, MW23 kind of did something right by just remastering a bunch of old maps, because if the new ones are so awful, then, I mean, why not just remaster ones that we know are good, because we know they're good. Now, whether or not they actually play well in the new engine, that's a whole other topic, but I don't feel like getting into that. Even though MW23 is basically a glorified DLC, at least it had, like, some, not only nostalgia factor, but the maps are actually good, because they were just ripped from MW2. So I think that if they're not going to be able to make some new good maps, then honestly, yeah, just fucking be lazy. Just rip off the old ones and just leave it at that. Speaking of Infinity Ward, I wanted to talk about the way they've been treating the new Modern Warfare games, and the way that they just straight up ignore all feedback, or they disregard it completely. I remember when the MW22 beta dropped last year, and Infinity Ward specifically like tweeted out, they said, "We want to hear your feedback for this game," and I thought that, you know, maybe they would listen for once, but of course they didn't. We said over and over again since 2019, because since that game, they decided to add this stupid shit where there's no red dots on the minimap whenever you shoot, or dead silence isn't a perk, which is a pretty big one too. And I really have to ask, why? I think they said something along the lines of, we didn't want dead silence as a perk anymore because we wanted to switch things up, which literally, like, nobody asked for, so I don't know what they mean by that. And not only that, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's something Infinity Ward has really been struggling with lately, especially with the new perk system in MW22. Like, that shit was fucking trash, and it did not need to be changed at all, but they just changed it for some reason, even though the perk system has always worked completely fine. Literally, like, nobody has complained about it before. I can't think of anybody who would possibly complain about it, because it's just fine. Like, there's nothing to complain about, really, with the perk system. You pick one perk for, like, 3 tiers, and that's it. It's simple. Why do we need to fucking complicate it? But alas, Infinity Ward doesn't listen. And they have just straight up ignored the community when we are clearly voicing, like, we do not like this, can you please change it? And they just never fucking do. They're like, oh no, we hear you, you know, we know you guys want Dead Sounds as a perk, we know you want red dots on the minimap, but we're not gonna do that, because that's, you know, because we said so. How about a nice, crisp
Fuck you.
I wanted to talk about Warzone a little bit. I haven't played Warzone in a long time, and for good reason. I'm just incredibly bored of it. And I think Blackout's better. You can fucking fight me if you want to, but I just think Blackout was more fun, and the map was better. It just played better, in my opinion. Like, I just think Blackout was better than Warzone ever was. Verdansk was fucking terrible. I don't care what anyone says. I know, you know, we have a little bit of nostalgia for it because it came out during, you know, the original COVID lockdown and stuff like that. And it had its place. The first 3 months of Warzone, I honestly did enjoy. But then I just got so sick of it once everyone started playing it and more hackers started getting into the game and more people started camping. Like, it just got worse as the years went by, honestly. Warzone, as soon as it became popular, Activision realized it, and they just decided to completely abandon Modern Warfare 2019 multiplayer, and everything after that was just focused on Warzone, and that was another factor of me, you know, hating the new Modern Warfare stuff, because they disregard everything for Warzone. They even disregard the fucking campaign level design in MW23 just so they could stick all of the characters in these fucking Warzone locations. Like, it's so goddamn annoying, and I'm so sick of seeing all these like Warzone elements being shoved into every aspect of every mode of these games. I haven't really played a lot of MW23 Zombies, but just from the look of it, it literally just looks like Warzone / DMZ Zombies, and like I just don't really see the appeal of that, to be honest. I'm just fucking sick of Warzone, okay? I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of all these store bundles and these fucking, you know, the monetization of Call of Duty, even though it's been bad for a long time. They'll always find a way to fuck it up. But it is so goddamn irritating just seeing all these store bundles and thinking back to a time when we were just playing as like nameless characters, which you could argue is boring, but I honestly prefer that. Because, you know, the game feels kind of grounded in a way. And I'm not saying Call of Duty needs to be like a milsim like Battlefield. I don't like seeing fucking Nicki Minaj and like these purple fucking tracer rounds in a World War II game, or Attack on Titan skins in a World War II game, or laser guns in a World War II game. I'm so sick of that shit, but, you know, Activision's always gonna find a way to fuck these games up with the monetization. I mean, supply drops were a huge deal back in Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare, and then, you know, the whole Battlefront 2 situation happened, and then Fortnite took off, and then they just started ripping off the Battle Pass system, and it's just never gonna end. If it's not one thing, it's a fucking another one with them. My last point I want to talk about is something pretty simple. It's literally just like a lack of content at launch with every year. And it's been happening since, I think, World War II, where the game only launches with like fucking 5 to 6 modes at launch. And then you're like, okay, I've already played like all of these modes 100 times before. There's nothing really new here. Occasionally there's something new, but it's always like something kind of just niche that they never really do again. But I remember playing 2019 for like the first month, and I just got quickly bored with the game because I'm like, okay, there's only a few maps, there's only so many modes, and I just really don't see the point of like hiding all the content besides just, you know, just banking on it and adding everything through updates, which I think is just really scummy, and it makes me feel like shit for giving them money, because I remember when that game came out, they had promised us that all the maps from that point forward were going to be free, which was true, but it came at a cost. The cost was the fucking content was going to be slowly, very, very, very slowly fed to us throughout the year. And if I had known that, I wouldn't have gotten as excited about the free maps and stuff. Although I do still appreciate that all the, you know, new maps are always going to be free from now on. But they only add like one every fucking month, so the game gets boring so fast. And that's what I don't understand about Activision, is that if they would give these developers more time to make a game that's actually fun, which would incentivize more people to buy it and keep playing it, then they would make so much more money. But for some reason, they just don't fucking get it. They just can't fucking handle the fact or the idea of not releasing a fucking game every year. They just have to. They have to do it every year. That's why MW23 came out and it was developed in only like 16 months because they just couldn't fucking help themselves. They said MW22 was going to be a 2-year game, and I was excited to see if that was actually going to be the case, but it wasn't, of course. We were lied to once again, and it's just fucking frustrating, and I'm so over it. I'm so tired of being fucking just... I guess I'm pretty dumb for getting played every year, but, like, fuck, man. Like, I always hold on to that hope that this fucking franchise I've been playing since I was a little kid would start getting good again, and I thought with 2019 that things would change, but they've only gotten worse, and they're still getting worse and worse and worse every year, and I don't know how that's possible. The only thing I'm really looking forward to in Call of Duty, and I'm probably still not even going to buy it, is whatever Treyarch's next game is going to be, which I've heard is going to be Black Ops Gulf War, which sounds pretty interesting. But I've also heard that in 2025 we're going to be getting a sequel to Black Ops 2, which is going to be set in like 2030. And I'm really confused on that because maybe this is a topic for another video, but I have to wonder like how that's going to play out. Is Treyarch developing 2 games in a row? If they are, then I feel bad for them once again, because I feel like Treyarch has been held back by Black Ops 4 and Cold War. I don't think they wanted to make either of those games, and you can really tell. Although I still think Cold War is decent. I think it's definitely better than BO4. But what's weird about BO4 is they had way more time to develop it, and it was a worse game in my opinion. So I hope that their next game is actually good. They've had 4 years to develop it. You know, fingers crossed that's good, but if it's... I'm not going to hold my breath, honestly, because I won't get fooled again. Man, that's a lot to take in, but I really had to get all this out because I've been fucked over by Activision so many times, and I think I'm finally over it. I think I'm finally out of this this abusive relationship. I think it's time to run and just move on from it. So yeah, so fuck you Activision, fuck you Infinity Ward. I hope you guys enjoyed these rants. Like I said, I really don't want to keep posting like negative stuff like this. This is most likely going to be the last rant that I do on Call of Duty. I think I'm just going to stick to the older games and yeah, just, you know, either play better games or play the older games, and that's all I'm going to do really. So I hope you can do the same. I hope you're smart and you don't buy the newest game unless you know it's going to be worth the money, or you at least wait until it's on sale. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, but I'm just advising that if you're going to buy the newest Call of Duty game, you should really, really be cautious. And you should not complain if it's a piece of shit, because you're still buying them every year. So it's no one to blame but you for giving them money. So, but anyways, I'm finally done. That's been my Call of Duty rant, and yeah. Look forward to some more videos, hopefully more optimistic than this. I'll catch you all later. Peace.